Hey, welcome back everybody. We are going to work on a multifaceted model this evening. The one cut that's going to be a little bit different than the rest of them is going to be this surface here. As we get moving forward, we're actually going to cut this with a plane or cut with a surface. The rest of it's pretty straightforward, and let's go ahead and get started. We're going to show you some dimensions. Overall length of the part is going to be 70 millimeters, 40 millimeters high, 40 millimeters thick, and our facets are going to be on here, but all of this is going to look a little bit different as we get rolling. So let's go ahead and get started. So we want to create a new part, accept it. Last time I showed you how to convert from inches to millimeters or change your settings. So I'm going to come down to the bottom right of this. I'm going to select the up arrow key, and I want to change this to millimeters, grams, and seconds. Also, the part is material specified as AISI 1020. I'm going to come up to material, one click with the right mouse button, edit the material, and I want to select AISI 1020, apply that, and close. Alright, so we're going to start with an extruded boss base on the front plane. I want to use a center point rectangle, so drop your chevron down, make sure that you have center rectangle. I want to start on the point of origin, one mouse click, pull it out, second mouse click, and now we want to go into smart dimension. So the bottom line is 70. The height of this part is 40. Click out in the model space, we're fully defined, so we're good to exit this. So when we exit our sketch, I want to make sure that we use our planes to our advantage. So instead of being just a blind extrusion, I want to drop this down, and I want it to be a mid-plane extrusion, and I also need to change the thickness of this to 40 millimeters. So with that being said, I'm pretty happy with the results there, so go ahead and accept it. We now have a block of AISI 1020. So we're looking at our drawing. We know that this material right here is removed, so let's go ahead and just cut that out of our way. So let's create an extruded cut. We're going to do it on this front face. Make sure that it orients normal to you where we can see what's going on. We start with a regular line. I don't want to snap on midpoint. I'm going to snap to the upper edge, and I'm also going to snap to this right edge. I'm not going to let it snap midpoint there either. So smart dimension. We know that we're 20 up and we're 40 over. So we come from this bottom edge to the end point of that line, and that was 20. And I can pick this line and just pull it straight up. I don't want to pull it out with a parallel dimension because that's going to give us a hypotenuse of the triangle. I want a horizontal dimension, so I'll place it, and it's going to be 40. So we are now fully defined, and I just need to cut that. So when I exit my sketch, we'd already selected extruded cut. It looks like we're going to remove this upper material, and I'm just going to say I want it to cut through all and never think about it again. Alright, so we're getting closer. This is our front view. Now we look at this top view, and this section is also missing. So I'm going to rotate this thing around. This is very important on what face that you pick. A lot of times people will pick this face here, and it's going to give us a different result than what we're really looking for. So select extruded cut, and I want to make sure that I pick this top surface. So pick that one, orients normal to us, and I want to select a regular line. I know that this is also 40, and I know that's what we just had, so pick it. I could let it snap to midpoint, but I really want to call this one out with a dimension, so I'm going to pick along this right side edge. Second mouse click, and then smart dimension from the end point to this upper edge. It was 20 as well. Our sketch is fully defined. We're okay to exit, and we want to create an extruded cut. Now when I look at this, my arrow is pointing the wrong direction, so I want to flip the side to cut. I want to make sure it's cutting this material and not this material. I want to also cut through everything, and I'm just going to accept it. I'm going to use the Control-7 command, so we're getting closer to what we want in this. Now this is where it gets a little bit confusing, so I know that this right side view also has a cut on it. So it's 20 millimeters down, and it's a 45-degree cut. So let's go ahead and make that cut. So let's select extruded cut. I want to pick this front face, let it orient normal to me. I'm going to come use a regular line command. I'm going to come up and pick the upper edge, and I'm going to pick this left edge. So smart dimension, pick the line, pull it straight out, not the hypotenuse, but pull it straight out, and it was 20. And it was also 45 degrees. So I'm going to pick the upper edge, and I'm going to pick the line itself, pull it out in this quadrant, not up here or over on this side, but over this direction, then place it down, and I'm going to give it a dimension of 45. So we're also fully defined, and we're good to exit the sketch and proceed with our cut. My arrow is pointing down, so it would remove all of this material, not what I want. So I'll select the arrow. It's going to flip the side to cut. I want to go through all. Now, when we look at this, Control 7, our sketch looked like it had a line right here, or our drawing looked like it had a line all the way down. This is really not what we have. Now, when you're new to modeling, sometimes it's best if you actually if you look at the views that you're trying to create. So I'm going to drop my view orientation down, and these are viewing planes that we can kind of cheat a little bit. So we want to use this 4-view viewing plane. And as I'm looking at these, this is really not the top view, but it's calling out the front, then the top, left, and then we have an isometric over here. I want to kind of lay them out just like they're laid out on the drawing. So I'm going to click in this viewing pane, and I'm going to drop my view orientation down, and I want to make it my top view. I'm going to come down to the next one. Now watch where my selection tabs are. So I'll click down in here, and those move down, so I'm not working in this space. So in this area, I want to make this one my front view. And this viewing plane, I click over in it, and I can make this my right side view. And just for an isometric or pictorial type view, I want to come up and select isometric or Control 7. Now, we can look at this and we can tell that our drawing is not what our model looks like. So we have to correct that. One way that we're going to go about doing that is we're actually going to cut with a surface. I'm going to create a plane, and we know that we have to have 3 points to develop a plane. So I want to go back into a single view. So select it. Now we're going to create some reference geometry so we can cut this thing. So I'll come up, drop this chevron down where it says reference geometry. Make sure that you're in the features tab. Go ahead and select plane. Now it's asking what points of reference that we're going to need. Make sure that we're fully defined over here as well. So I want to come and I want to pick this vertex where the front face meets these two incline faces. And I want to pick this upper vertex. So we've got 1, 2 vertexes, and they are coincident. So I picked this last vertex, and now notice we've got a fully defined plane. So I'm going to accept it. Now we're looking at this, and I want to make a cut. I don't have my surfaces pulled up, so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say insert, cut with a surface. So my plane is going to be my surface because the plane has 0 thicknesses and the surface has 0 thickness. My arrow is pointing down, not really what I want. I can flip it over here in the modeling area, or I can come over here and flip it in this way. So I rotate it around, and that's what I want to do is I want to cut with that surface, and I want to accept it. So there we go. That's our part. I want to hide this plane because I don't really like those showing when I'm doing other things with the model. So if you want to, you can come back to this 4 windows again. So this would be our top view. This is going to be our front view. This is going to be our right side view. And we want to make this our isometric just to give us a pictorial representation. So as we're looking at this, does my front view look like does my top view look like my top view? Yes. Does my front look like the front? And does the right look like the right? It does, so I'm happy with this. We are going to go back to a single plane. We want to make sure that we save this file in the right naming format and submit it in our LMS.